Brought a whole new meaning to camping right on the bridle track. But through the night and scavenging wood, I left it here. Conglomerate. A big piece. And seeing as though Sarah's got a ute, I don't know, girl, you reckon we could put this in the pack bags? Let's take it home for a keepsake anyway. I don't know much about conglomerate. At least you guys know I'm honest. But I'll just look up another YouTube video and then make my own. But I'm told there could be gold in there. So I'm taking it home anyway. Yeah, these are the, I know it's like tricky to see, but we're camping over there and the old road went from right down through here. Crazy to think that we just slept on possibly part of the original bridle track. Like, slept right on the track. It's old school. Well, we got away as early as we could. It's only a bit past 9. Yeah, that's early for me. And we have got a long road ahead of us. This is the one. This is the day I knew we'd be putting in the most hours traveling. I know, girlie, but it's pretty much, it'll be fine. You're doing really good. She's walking good. She's still in good spirits. I'm still in good spirits. But this is the stretch that I am prepared to just stick it out. We're sticking it. We've come this far, girlie. And just so people are aware, I am not riding back. I have got a mate picking me and girlie up in Bathurst with a horse float. So girlie is going to be floated home. And I'm going to be in shotgun, just chilling out. Looking forward to getting home and reviewing all this footage and just reminiscing, because it's been a ball. It's been really fun. But in saying that, you know, with things that are fun, there's always a little element of risk involved. Hey, what I'm getting to is like night 1, Sarah came down, it was raining, it was dark, she didn't know where I was. She'd never really been down there before either. So there was like an hour there where I was a little bit worried. I thought maybe I've made a recipe for disaster here. And trust me, I have made a few disaster sandwiches, so I know the ingredients. But it all turned out well. But what I'm saying is, you know, this place is fun, but you need to respect it. Thank God she's a safe driver, because this road's hairy. Stick to the left, people. Stay on your side. And even though it's a 100km/h zone, you don't have to go 100 k's. Just down in and around those bends on the dirt, and be careful. But as long as you do that and respect the bridle track, man, what do you want? See what other stuff I can yarn about for the next 8 hours, I think. 8 hours of travel today, girlie. This is the big one. You know, you got to give credit where credit is due. And that is a pretty horse. Looks like a boy. I don't know. Beautiful black pretty horse.
I think there's a lot of things to consider, because you look at the bridle track, you look at history. As soon as you're looking at history, you're looking at different people's interpretations of that history. You get a lot of newspaper articles. Newspapers were there to sell a story. They didn't really care if it was true or not. I was always a big believer in mines inspector reports, and there's the key word, report. Mines inspector wasn't there to sell a story, he was there just to report on it. So I found the better stories, the more credible ones, came from mines inspectors reporting. The others would be government gazetted contracts where people were asked to do a job and then there had to be a report on the job, rather than the newspaper articles. And of course people in general. I couldn't count the amount of people that after grandfather has died, grandfather built this or grandfather did that. I had one bloke come up and say, oh, my great-grandfather, his pick was the first one that struck the Byers and Halterman specimen. We've got a photograph of him holding the pick. I wanted the photograph. They could never produce it. I got his name. He wasn't anywhere near the mine. He wasn't any one of the workers. It's just a story that a grandfather tells to promote his own story. And so there's too much floating around. To keep it simple, if a road is there, you use it. You modify it. It's meant to get from one point to another. The bridle track was continually worked on for as long as it was useful for mining and people. As the people numbers died down, then the bridle track became less important. The bit I like about the bridle track is it wasn't built by convicts, not the ones that we look at today. It was built by out-of-work miners, and therefore they were professionals at rock work. The fall at Monaghan's Bluff is a perfect example of hand tools without any modern equipment, without any of the scaffoldings we'd use, without any of the winches and cranes and bulldozers, hand materials, just building a road out of the side of a cliff. 100 years later, 50-ton tip trucks are driving along it. The vibration of a grader that weighs 13.5 tonne is used to shape it and work on it, and it stands. That stood for over 100 years. What happens? A freak of nature, big rock fall. I believe it could have been dealt with better than it was, but that's my opinion because I grew up with explosives and how to handle big rocks. All of a sudden, with all our modern equipment, it sat there for over a decade, no one knowing what to do. And yet we've got supposedly all the biggest machinery, all the best equipment, all the technical know-how, and we couldn't fix a rock on a road that was built 150 years ago.
Yeah, make a good point. Truly you do. The thing, it's weird for me because the bridle track's just in my backyard type of a scenario, and I feel like I should know more about it, but I truly don't. For example, a lot of the campsites along the areas that are named, like the Amy Anderson, I don't know who she is or anything about her. I did mention that you could find good information about Mary Flynn Reserve and why I call it Sailor's Bluff in your documentary, of course. But there are other things like the Randwick Hole, the Bruinbrun. I vaguely remember your story about the Root Hog. And then I also thought if there's any of your own personal memories you remember going down there and enjoying as well.
Well, yeah, names and locations were important. I mean, there's just below the Mary Flynn Reserve, there's a hole that's not listed on any of the maps, and that was called the Pop Hole, and that was in front of Keach's. And Keach's had a hut down there, and they used to feed out of that hole. Now, I don't know why they called it the Pop Hole, because a pop hole to us was just a little hole that you used a small amount of explosives in. Like I was going to put a pop hole in that.
Okay.
Now, whether they used that to open up a spring, that was sometimes used. Mm-hmm. If there was a spring in the, coming out of a rock, they put a little pop hole in it, sometimes to open it, sometimes it would have the reverse effect and block it. The root hog was pretty simple, and it goes back to language. Words that were used 100 years ago had a totally different meaning to now. One of the main sources of non-beef protein came from pigs. You know, today you only have to look at the feral pig problem. Breed twice a year, 6 or 8 in a litter. So rather than a sheep going 1 or 2 and a cow going 1, if you had a sow and a boar, you could actually breed a lot of meat for sale. And a lot of people brought along a pet sow with them. Now supposedly this German lady had been going to Hill End, and she had a pet sow that she brought along with her. And she found the trip. You've got to go back to the documentary where the journalist said, "Oh, these bush miles, how interminable they are. I cannot handle this country. You can walk 2 or 3 miles in this and it's like doing 18 miles anywhere else." Well, apparently that's how she felt. By the time she got to this water hole, she thought Hill End was just around the corner. When she found out it was that much further, she looked at the pig and said, "Root hog or die." In other words, root the ground up and eat what you can because we're not going any further. This is home. And so it became known as the root hog water hole.
It's fantastic. And now it's obviously the crossing there today. That was a crossing back then. That's where she...
Yes, crossing out to Fremantle and out towards Chambers Creek.
Right. And Keachers, were they a family that lived down there, were they?
Yeah, Jimmy Tunbridge knew them.
Right.
They were alive in his day. And Keachers would pick up with the Mobses and walk up to school at Hill End.
Right, and that was the other side, because obviously as soon as you get to the bridle track, there are those remains and there's a couple of plaques there are talking about the Mobses.
Well, Jimmy Tunbridge is 90 years of age at the moment. He'll be watching this because he likes your YouTube videos. He's 90. He grew up on that river, and of course he trapped with Teddy Mobbs. And Mobbs' flat is there near where the Oakey Creek hits the Turon River.
Yes.
So he knew pretty well all that. And I said to him the other day, I was talking to him, I said, "I really don't know much of the names of the water holes between Everett's and the crossing." He said, "I don't think they had any." They may have, but when you ask someone who's 90 years of age, whose elder was his work partner for quite a few years and was born there, and we looked at it and thought, well, obviously where Oakey Creek hits the Turon, that should have been the Oakey Creek hole.
Yeah.
But until you got down to the crossing and the cave hole, there didn't seem to be any recognisable names.
Yeah, funny that. The Mobs' flat down there, is that because they were just a generational family from the 1800s?
Yeah, and they lived there. That was their home. There was often a story told about the Bob's family coming up to Hill End on a weekend and climbing Hawkins Hill. And one of the stories was that George Anderson used to put it in with a wonderful accent. He said, "There she is with about 7 or 8 kids in tow, climbing Hawkins Hill." She said she's nearly at the top. One kid sits down and says, "Oh, I'm thirsty." And George said, she ran down to the river, back down to her house, got a billy can, filled it up out of the river, and ran back up Hawkins Hill, nearly to the top. There you are.
How fair.
So he could have a drink.
Jeez, talk about fit.
Yeah.
Right. That's amazing. It is a really nice. I tell all the tourists that it's an oasis down there, and it's just a beautiful place. And I've got fond memories of playing down there with Gary on when he had a motorbike and I had a horse. And I wanted to add your input as well, and any other fond memories that you can think of.
Well, we were always going down the river for a swim on a weekend, and then there was a bigger community. You'd meet people on school holidays. It'd be, we're all going down to Culvert Hole, and there'd be like half a dozen plus families who'd go down and have a picnic and a swim. Popeye was always there. Popeye basically lived on that river, fishing. But see, you had a number of reasons. One was the common cattle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once Bill Marchant left Homeward Bound, it went to a bloke who never ran stock on it.
Right.
So it was like for 40 years, Homeward Bound was just like part of the common.
Yeah.
It was open country. And you had Cud running cattle, Flinney running cattle, the captain's cattle were always getting out. Brusso So there was always people up and down the river and meeting and talking about their work. And so it wasn't just going down there for a picnic and swimming. You were also going down there to check on the cattle. Yeah. And they kept it clean because there was never any, it was always like a golf course around the waterholes.
The cattle kept everything.
Yeah, they kept everything mowed right down.
Yeah.
Because that was the first place they'd go to graze, and if they didn't eat it, they trampled it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did point out that now it's the culvert hole.
Culvert.
Yeah.
As in a culvert across a creek, a bridge, a land bridge.
I did point that out as a good swimming spot, and that's where I caught my first catfish.
Yeah.
But then that made me think about the Randwick hole. Is that where the good cod came out of?
Oh yeah, big ones in there. I can remember Popeye telling me he was with his eldest daughter Sharon, and they used to take a little tinny down and motor up and down. And Sharon yelled out to her father, "Dad, well, I've got a snag." And he said, "You haven't got a snag." He said, "There's no snags here." And she'd hooked a really big cod, ended up breaking the line.
Wow.
Popeye reckoned he never ever got it. It was always after that really big cod that was in the Randwick.
There's always a fish that's got away in every town, hey?
I mean, the Stewarts always used to have Christmas on the Randwick waterhole.
Right.
And there'd be people coming from everywhere to have Christmas dinner on the river.
Yeah. It's definitely popular down there now. Every campsite is shoulder to shoulder with people. So it's definitely come back alive. It's not about, not just as local community now, it's more touristy hub, but still very family orientated.
We used to go spotlighting on a Monday after a long weekend because no one lived at Homeward Bound, and it wasn't a house until you got to the other side of Monaghan's Bluff. Those houses that are this side of Monaghan's Bluff have only been built in recent years. There was no one lived along there, so we were always spotlighting for foxes after a long weekend. They'd find free food around the campsites, so that you'd get foxes sniffing around the campsite, and you'd spotlight them. Then people didn't have flexi days, so the long weekends were a big hit and go away from Saturday morning till Monday evening. None of this sort of like, I'll take a week off during the week. Yeah. So the place was alive on a long weekend, but dead by the time it got to Monday night.
You do paint a pretty picture of the place, I've got to say that, and I do try to explain that to the school kids that we did have a larger community back in the 80s of farmers of sheep and cattle and bushworkers, and that you would go on full moon once a month, like to each other's shearing sheds and have
always a shearing shed party. Couldn't count the amount that had at Stewart's place, Robert Anderson's place. There was always something going on of a long weekend, much bigger community input, and it was a bit like the elders would control everyone. There wasn't the blues that there seems to be today, the upset, because everyone knew each one and most of them were all related anyway.
Been on autopilot, just travelling for a couple of hours, and impossible for you to see, but through those trees are houses and Bathurst. There is an odd sense of just a weird smile just come out of nowhere on my face. Just walking along in my own world with Curly. No music today, just chilling out, and it's hard to describe. Pretty cool, but genuine smile for sure. There's Bathurst. We're gonna do this. We're on our way. Look at all this grass, girly. And yes, I'm gonna let you have a good break, because hallelujah, in sight there lies Bathurst. And I couldn't have done this without you, girly. I couldn't have. And you've done so well. But in saying that, I've got to thank Sarah as well. She's came down and supported me the last few nights, brought me my swag, brought me all my supplies and dinner. Girlie was good. Sarah, thank you. I thank everyone right now. Jared, you're a legend. You get a shout out too. Thank you for helping me with the horse flow. Bo, I know you're watching. You love your gold. You're going to be one of my groomsmen. Shout out to you. Paulie, haven't forgot you. Both you Paulies. Henry, dude, my bro, thank you for coming out with me on horseback and finding gold with me to use for my wedding ring. That's like pretty special. And doing this is special too. Joshy, gotta love you for your video editing skills, dude. I don't know how to use a computer, and I feel like I just demand the most toughest things from you. And I envision these episodes, and then when we get in the editing room, we work together. You produce exactly what I am envisioning. Thank you to absolutely everyone, to my mentors, and I tell you what, Bathurst, we are on the way. We're doing it, girlie. We're almost there. She's like, friends. And that is the turn off to Bathurst from the bridle track. Bathurst goes right, Hillend is left. Oh boy, girlie. That's a pretty horse. And that's a pretty little horse. Oh wow. So that is the turn off to Bathurst and Hillend from the bridle track. This is one awesome feat. I know it's an awesome feat for me, but I should just bear in mind that I know old fellas in Hillend that would be working all week, even mustering on horseback, and then they'd ride to like Mudgee and do a 50k endurance ride. When I was growing up, my old man had ribbons and trophies of all his endurance rides. He even said he rode to Mullion Creek once and did an endurance ride. No surprise, he won that one. But he also rode home as well, just on the weekend, just for something to do. I'm not trying to diminish my feat, but I think at the end of the day, all I'm doing is just trying to keep an old tradition alive. I don't know if I'm going to be doing this again either, so soak it up, girlie. Soak it up. Never thought a turn off would look so good. Wow, this is the first signpost I have seen to tell me how far away Bathurst is, and it's only 16 k's away. Down that road. And you know what? We're gonna make it today, girlie. One more hill, girlie. One more hill. Let's just get over here for safety reasons, girlie. This is a bit of a pinch, but the traffic is good. There's no cars coming. Ooh, you've still got plenty of steam, don't you? Come on, we've got to get off that road a bit more. That's it, won't hurt. Oh, he is feeling a bit safer. That was the last hill, girlie. The last hill. There's Bathurst. Yeah. Bathurst, here we are. civilization. We have had some looks. We have had some looks. We are feeling a little bit out of place, but we've had a lot of smiles, we've had a lot of waves, even had someone yell out my name. But I've got one stop to make before the jewelers and one stop to make after the jewelers. Here we come, Bathurst.
Hi, Joe.
That's it, girl. That's it. Ooh-ah. That's it, let's open. There you go. Doing good. That's it, doing good. Doing good. Making ground. Get to those signs, we'll have a go. Okay. Oh, she's still got plenty of steam left in her. And we haven't got far to go. Let's keep those beans for the moment. Not even puffed. I know, you're alright, a little bit. We're almost there. And then you're going to be in the horse float on the way home. I'm going to give you so much chaff and so much hay and carrots and apples. I'm going to give it all to you. What's that? No toilet stopping required. Let's continue. This is crazy. I never thought I'd be doing anything like this. And Girlie's got a bit of a lather up. Because I've been trotting her a little bit because we're in the last 2% of our journey here. Oh, getting a real natural adrenaline high here. And I just want to complete it with shining stars type of a scenario. Yeah, no, right, we're almost there. That's right, you're doing good. I know, she can feel it, we're almost there. Woo! I don't know. We could go to Orange still if we wanted to. The turn-off's just there, girlie. Stewart Street turn-off. KFC, oh my god. Dan Murphy's, oh my god. This is like a big candy shop for big boys and girls. You can buy whatever you want here. Woo up, girlie, woo up, woo up. Yeah. Well done. Almost there. We're doing it! I don't think I'll ever be doing this again, so soak it up, Joby. Game of lawn bowls, anyone? Main Street, Bathurst. Just stopped at the service station, I did. Just for a refuel.
Oh yeah. I'll meet you over there.
Yeah. Another one. Almost there to our first stop, then the Jewelers. Where is our first stop, I wonder? Not the university. Not the racing circuit. We've done enough racing. This is the Bathurst Visitor Information Centre. They are great supporters of my gold panning business, so I thought I would surprise them. There's Girlie over there. I have flashy business cards to give them. They're my new style. Thanks, Henry, bro. And then I'm off to the Jewelers. How you going? We are within the last 100 metres of our journey to the Jewelers. Oh boy, the last 100 metres. This has been a Lord of the Rings journey for me. And Girlie, I know you can't carry the gold for me, but she can carry me. She can carry me. It's like, hurry up, let's go. All right, I'm swinging on now, Girlie. Let's do this.
Got a customer, Julie.
Yes.
Here.
Have a customer. I must say,
Finally arrived.
triumphant moment. How are you today? And here's my horse. She does need a drink. She's very thirsty. She will be one day. Probably soon, unfortunately. Well, I think this is where I'm going to leave you guys, at the Jack Duggan's pub. It's a little bit reminiscent. I used to bounce here like a lifetime ago. They do really good meals here, and I'm gonna have one beer, wait for my mate Jarrett to arrive with the horse float, and get on home. I really mean it. I hope you guys enjoyed that journey.
Bye guys.